Dan Illman, Mike Beer, taking a look at the co-feature race at Saratoga on Friday. It's the 8th. We're going 5.5 furlongs on the melon turf. It's the $150,000 Lucky Coin Stakes. Let's take a peek at this field. We've got 8 in the body of the race. The 9, Wendell Fong. The 10, What Do You Think Now? They're entered main track only, and both would be very logical contenders if this race is washed off. Voodoo Zip, the 6, is 5-2 on David Aragona's morning line. The slight favorite in this race, taking a little class drop out of the Grade 2 Highlander at Woodbine.
Yeah, he is getting some significant, maybe not significant, but it's pretty good class really for this horse here. You know, whether you want to take too short a price on a horse like Voodoo Zip as he drops back to 5.5 is another question entirely, Dan, but he's a pretty good horse.
Not only is the distance a bit of a question mark for Voodoo Zip, it might be a little bit sharp for him, but he likes to come from off of it. And Timeform US notes, with its blue bar scenario in the pace projector, that this race could favor horses on or near the early lead. And the number 2, the Critical Way, this time around is expected to be close.
Yeah, he's supposed to go to the lead in here and just try to wire this field. Obviously, this pace projector is a huge advantage for this horse, who at the end of the day, Dan, might just be the best horse anyway if he shows up and runs his good race.
The number 1 is Big Package. He's hoping the pace heats up a little bit. You see him in last position on your pace projector. Big Package coming off a good effort, though, against third-level allowance competition. We see him swinging to the far outside in the stretch, and he keeps grinding as the favorite. He's going to finish second behind pace setter Artemis City Limits.
Yeah, this pace just wasn't that fast. Artemis City Limits got to the lead early on. He opened a clear advantage in the stretch. And I thought Big Package actually finished really gamely here trying to catch. It just wasn't quite the right setup. Obviously, if that pace projector's right, it compromises him again. But, man, he's a really, really good turf sprinter. He runs very well here at Saratoga. If he can get any kind of a trip in here, Dan, you're going to know this horse late. He's very underrated, this horse.
He's a very consistent horse, very much on form, and the way he runs a similar vein as Voodoo Zip, and might actually be a better price and might actually be better suited to the 5.5. Number 2 is the Critical Way. Now, this is the Critical Way's plan B, so to speak. He was entered in Parks about a week or 2 ago. Race was washed off of the turf. The Critical Way was beaten last time out in the Wolf Hill. I talked to Jose Delgado, his trainer, before the Parks race, and he said they made a mistake and that they took him back, and that this is a horse that needs to be forwardly placed. They decided to rate him. He was in between horses, and he just didn't fire his best shot on a very hot day. This time around, they're going.
Yeah, they got to go with this horse in this race. It's the race last time is even more baffling, Dan, when you consider that there really wasn't any other speed in the race. The horse that wound up winning, Breakthrough, was a big long shot who got to the lead, made a slow pace, and held on. It was just the craziest decision we'll ever see with a horse like the Critical Way, who's really fast. His race 2 back in the select. That was a wicked pace that he was dueling, and a couple of closers came and got up to run 1-2 in there. You know, I don't know. To me, he's not very reliable. We've seen this horse, bomb several times in the past when he looked good. But if he shows up and runs his good race here, they're going to have a really tough time beating him.
And he picks up a jockey that should suit him very, very well. Luis Saez has been aboard him a few times and has ridden him well. He likes to be aggressive. The 3 has proven strategies, and he's a bit underrated, isn't he? He's finished ahead of the Critical Way in his last 2 races, including that Wolf Hill, a race that didn't really set up for him. Now, this is a horse that showed speed at longer distance races. Since they've turned him back, he's been outrun in some of his starts. It makes me a bit concerned with this pace projector, but he's in pretty sneaky good form, I believe.
I agree. I'm a little worried about the pace as well, except, that, as you've already pointed out, he used to have plenty of speed. And I wonder if Tyler Gaffalione can get him a little closer this time if the pace is slow. That didn't happen in his most recent start, that Wolf Hill we've already talked about. But, man, once he got down inside and behind horses as that pace moderated, he studied a couple of times. He had to wait coming into the stretch. He could not get clear until it was way too late. And then he actually ran at the end. 2 starts back, I also thought he ran well into a much better setup. I actually think this horse is in good form right now since they cut him back, and I'm going to use him if that morning line holds.
Speaking of good form, the number 4 Dancing Buck seeking a hat trick after this victory in a second level allowance race over course and distance at Saratoga. And Dancing Buck has shown versatility in his last two races. At Belmont 2 back, he went to the front. They cut him back in distance here. He was content to sit off a solid pace, and he strolls right by in the stretch. Michelle Nevin has this one good. He should be a solid price. And considering his form and his running style, he could be in the thick of things when they turn for home.
Yeah, he is in really good form right now. This is a very easy win for this horse. It came off the heels of a perfect trip, though. I mean, he was always in the right position here as they contested the pace in front of him. He got clear in the stretch. He won easily. I liked that performance, Dan. I think I might want a little bit more than the 6-1 morning line as they step him up in class now, but certainly they're stepping him up at the right time. His last two races are good.
The late running number 5, Thin White Duke, almost pulled off a huge upset in the Grade 3 Troy, facing a couple of Grade 1 quality turf sprinters. Let's watch the Troy. Thin White Duke was outrun early. He is a late closer. This pace was solid. He's going to get to the far outside. Golden Pal has been unbeatable sprinting on turf in North America. He's just going to get the best out of the hard-hitting True Valor, but Thin White Duke's charging hard on the outside.
Yeah, good performance from this horse. I mean, he did have a good setup and a good trip here, but he's going to make it pretty close with two top turf sprinters at the end. That was a good performance. 2 starts back when he also ran well over course and distance. That was a race that really set up for his running style. Over a course with some giving it, closers ran 1-2 in there, and he got a nice inside run. But I can't knock this horse's recent form.
Voodoo Zip is the number 6. Like Thin White Duke, he likes to come from off of the pace. He was a good-looking winner of a third-level allowance, going 3/4 at Belmont 2 starts back, a race where he saved ground, altered course to the outside and upper stretch, and just kicked down the leader with a nice turn of foot. They ran him in the Highlander. They tried similar tactics, sort of the in-out trip from mid-pack, got bounced around a little bit in upper stretch, but he flattened out at the very end of that race, Mike. He, to me, just looks pace-dependent.
Yeah, that's how I look at him too. I'm with you about his last race too. He ran fine in there, but he had a shot at a bigger piece of that purse and just didn't quite finish as hard as we're used to seeing this horse finish. Now, he has won his last 2 starts going 6 furlongs here in New York. So maybe that'll give you some hope that he can get the 5.5, Dan. But I hate playing horses like this, especially when they take a lot of money, and he's the morning line favorite.
Lots of minor awards on the number 7 Fauci's page, and it masks the fact that this horse has been running in pretty decent form in his last couple. Last time out in that second level allowance won by Dancing Buck, he kind of broke a little bit slow. He came with a run on the outside. Dancing Buck just outfinished him. 2 starts back, a little bit of trouble. This is a horse, again, I think he can be a lot closer to the pace if it's slow.
Yeah, maybe he can pull a little bit of a different trip, and that'll work in his favor. To be honest, I didn't like his last race that much. I actually thought that was a great spot for this horse, and I know he made a little run at the end. I just didn't like that performance from him. His effort 2 back was actually pretty good. I think he was best that day, but he got blocked down to the 8th pole, and it really cost him at the end. I guess I could go either way on him. I'm a little sour off of his last race, though. It makes me reluctant to take him here with the step up in class.
The 8 Maxwell Esquire didn't run particularly well from a tough outside post position, going a 2-turn mile at Saratoga. It was the first off the Michael Maker claim, and we've said it all the time. Maker claims horses, changes up distances. They usually run very well. Maxwell Esquire didn't exactly, I don't believe, run to expectations when they stretched him out to a mile, so he's back to 5.5, but another horse without a lot of speed.
Yeah, he could be pace compromised here as well. He's another horse also, Dan, who, if he shows up and runs his good race, and he'll do that from time to time, he could be really, really tough in here. I think he fits in here on his good race. He's a little inconsistent. You have to like him cutting back in distance, though. He doesn't want a mile, and he certainly doesn't want a mile when he's stuck 3-4 wide throughout the running like he was last time.
And as for the also eligibles, the main track onlys, Wendell Fong was claimed by Tally Lynch, who had a lot of success with this horse earlier in the year and then last year in 2021. And what do you think now in very, very sharp form? Just won the Morrissey again. Either one of these horses would be strong contenders if they get into the body of the race. Top pick time for the Lucky Coin Stakes. I don't know, Mike. I agree with you in that the Critical Way, the number 2, is not the most trustworthy horse in the world. I think they're going to be a lot more aggressive with him, and we'll see if he's good enough to take down a prize at Saratoga.
I think he's the horse to beat. I didn't take him on top. He's supposed to take a lot of money in here, Dan. I just wanted to look for maybe a little bit of a better price. I wind up with Big Package, who I think fits really well here. He just needs a little bit of pace help. And if the Critical Way personally, I feel like if he runs his good race the Critical Way, this pace is going to be solid because they're going to send him. So I'm going to hope it works out to the advantage of Big Package.
Opening quarter mile could be key here. How much work does the Critical Way have to put in to get to the front, and will it sap his stretch energies? 1325 for Mike, 2465 for me. It's the lucky coin, 2 stakes at Saratoga on Friday. Good luck.